So the first event for the day is by Mysuru chapter, and here we will be discussing about the journey from amateur to professional leadership. And we have Samatha Saranur with us to discuss about the same. And I hope she's with us. And without any further delay, I would like to welcome Samatha.
Okay, thank you, Nupal. Good morning, everyone. Let me first introduce myself to all those who don't know about me. I'm Samatha. I've been working in the healthcare industry for the last 2+ decades. I joined the industry as a trainee and then grew up to the current position of a vice president where I'm heading one of the units for my organizations in the Mysuru. Thank you for being available today morning where I would be sharing some of my experiences from my personal as well as the professional life, which helped me grow during this career path. I will try to make it as active as possible, this particular session. When we hear the term leader, what comes to our mind? Who is that person who comes to your mind the moment you hear the term leader? For all of us, it's different thought. For me, if you ask, there are quite many people in my life, right from my childhood to where I am right now, different people at different points in time who motivated me, who influenced me. They are all leaders for me, right from my mother, my parents, my sisters, my colleagues, my boss. At every walk of my life, at different stages, each one helped me to grow. Each one gave me one learning. This concept of leader first came into my mind during our school days. When we were in school, in high school, we used to have the school elections where the school leaders, the group leaders were elected. So my class teacher gave me mine to contest for the group leader, and I contested and I won. That was my first experience where I was leading a group or a team. I still remember how I worked with my group to participate in various events, various activities. And at the end of the year, we saw that our group won the Rocking Shield, won in many areas, in the cultural events, the sports. So that was my first experience as a leader. A leader is not different from a group. He emerges from the group, he or she, and they work along with their group for a common cause. They serve as a role model for their team members. The group who is following them, they follow them. In your workplace too, many of you might be in at various stages of the management in your particular organizations. You have somebody who is following you based on the kind of work that you are doing, maybe your discipline, maybe your hard work, maybe your knowledge, maybe the way you speak. There is some character in you which is influencing them. So you're all leaders, be at your workplace, be in your friends group. The same even at the workplace when we are working in an organization, in an office, this plays a bigger role. Also, there is always a confusion in our mind. Is there a difference between a manager and a leader? Because we tend to use these terms synonymously. Like I said, leader is a broader term. Manager or leadership, managerial skills are a part of leadership skills. It is no different, it is a part of leadership. It is the responsibility of the leader to get the activity done, to accomplish an activity. In that process, he utilizes his managerial skills so that the activity is accomplished and the results are achieved. Let me share one of my experiences with you all. This was few years ago. I've been working in my current organization for more than 15 years. Maybe around 7, 8 years ago, there was an opportunity where I had to head a new team. When I said new team, it was not in that particular area. I had to move out of my region and relocate to some other area because we acquired another company and I had to head that. So I had that opportunity. Two challenges in front of me. One was the personal, the other was the professional challenges, of course. Personal because it is not easy for anybody to relocate to another area, leave out all their things, all they have been settled by then, so they have to go and settle in new area. So also the same challenge was in front of me. My husband, my kid, my mom, my extended family. But luckily, I was able to convince, my family was convinced and they supported me in the relocation. And the next came up the professional challenge. Because I already had about 10 years experience by then. So I was little comfortable in taking up that challenge and then I moved to the new place. After I moved to the new place, I realized it's very different from what I had been doing until then. Definitely, whatever experience I carried until then, it helped me. It showed me the path. But there was a new learning for me at the new place. The team was different, the area was different, the language was different, the culture was different, and I had to imbibe all of those. On top of that, there were already challenges within the team. I had to face those challenges and resolve those challenges too. So once I stepped into action, once I started taking up the roles, I tried to check who in the managerial managers or the team managers or the team leads who were really very efficient and who had good hold on the team so that I could work with them. And I could find few of them who were really very, they had the team with them working for them. So I worked along with them. I used to report to office early morning between 6 and 7 and then stayed back until late night, sometimes even midnight or early morning, this day early morning. Why? Because I had to understand there were already issues that were not settled by the previous management, so that had to be taken over, that those problems had to be resolved. For that, I need to first understand the team members, not just the managers, even the ground level team members, I should know them. So I started working with them, I started meeting them, interacting with them, knowing them more. And then, along with my team, the managers and the team leads, we were able to get a good grade within a few weeks. 3 to 4 weeks, we saw a change where the team was actually not focused on work, no reporting time. They used to work very haphazardly. We saw a change in them. We gave them that confidence, we are there. Whatever is the problem, I am there for you all. My doors are always open. They used to just walk in, discuss any problem, and they found a solution. May not be sometimes immediately, but later point. But we saw the difference in the way they worked, the output, the productivity. We saw the change within a few weeks. What did we do here differently? Reaching out to the team, not restricting myself or my managers, not restricting themselves to their cabins. Trying to understand the team, also explain them what are we working for, taking feedback from them and also providing them the appropriate feedback so that they grow. The way we worked definitely influenced most of the team members. So there are many characteristics that come into play. If you try to introspect yourself, what defines you as a leader, you will also find those characters within you. Sometimes you may not realize, but if you obtain that feedback from your peers, your subordinates, and superiors, you will be able to know what are the traits that you are carrying, and what are the traits that made you a leader, and what are the traits that your team is looking up to you as a leader. Let me share one other experience, not from my this thing, but I have read this in one of Mr. Narayan Murthy's interview. We all know Narayan Murthy, he is the founder of Infosys. Before he started Infosys, he was working. These were the days when he was working in Paris. He was very young at that point, and it was a Friday when the work was almost coming to an end. It was almost around 6 o'clock. He was also ready to wrap up his work and leave for the day. He suddenly realized that there was a system error. He tried to find out how that error happened, and he noted that it was his mistake. And the mistake was not small. If it is not corrected, nobody would be able to work the next week when they come on Monday morning. So he looked around if he can find any of his colleagues from whom he can take help and then fix it. But unfortunately, he couldn't find anybody. He saw the light glowing in his boss's cabin, so he immediately went to him. He explained him. He told him that there was an issue and it was because of him and it needs to be corrected, otherwise people cannot work when they report to office Monday. The boss patiently listened and he said, okay, please go ahead and do your task. How much time is it going to take? Mr. Murthy said, maybe around 24 hours or more. The boss looked at his watch. He said, okay, fine. I'm there with you. Go ahead and fix the problem. I'll also help you. And once we are done, then we will go home. The boss actually planned dinner with his wife, so he called his wife, cancelled all the plans, and then he remained. He ordered food for himself and Mr. Murthy, and he helped him. Next day, Saturday, 4 or 4:30, Mr. Murthy went to his boss and said, the issue is fixed. There's no error now. Everything is running smoothly. The boss verified himself, confirmed that everything was fine, and then he just said one sentence. My child, if this happens next time, I'll spank you. There is a big lesson from this to learn for all of us. The moment Mr. Murthy informed his boss about the problem, the boss did not take a reactive approach. Rather, he supported him and made sure that the error was rectified, it was fixed, and then he criticized his employee. Had he taken a reactive approach, maybe Mr. Murthy wouldn't have worked so efficiently and fixed the problem within the required time frame. We come across the situations at our workplace day in, day out, where our team members make errors, and most of the times, or sometimes we take a reactive approach. We try to criticize them in front of others, which is wrong. There's a saying, praise in public, criticize in private. And that is very apt. That is very apt. There is some any negative feedback to be provided, take them to your cabin, talk to them, discuss with them, but more supporting with the data and the facts. Because the moment the facts are in front of our eyes, we'll be able to realize our problem better when compared to the complete verbal discussions or the conversations. These really helped us. These really particularly helped me too. This is going to be really effective talking with the data and the facts. One other thing as a routine when we are trying to deal with our team, sometimes without our knowledge, we try to provide more instructions. Do this, do that, don't do that, or these are the set of instructions, follow this and complete your project. Too much of control will not develop your team members. The moment you withdraw those controls, you don't stop providing them the instructions, you'll see that your team members are lost. This is similar to a puppet show. The puppet dances as long as the strings are moved by somebody, always with help. It cannot dance on its own. The moment the strings are released, it falls down. The same applies to the team too. People, when they are given more instructions, they tend to get used to that way of working. And the moment you stop giving them instructions, they get lost, they don't know what to do. It should be a combination of providing them the instructions as well as providing them the freedom where required. Things will turn out to be more effective if we work with a combination of giving them the freedom as well as providing some set of instructions or the SOPs, the standard procedures. Okay. The previous experience that I shared with you all just some time back with regard to the relocation and taking care of the team. If we realize the moment I stepped into that office to take over that team, the problems did not start at that point. They were prevailing from earlier because most of the problems which could have been resolved were ignored, whatever be the reasons. That is the reason they turned out to be bigger problems when somebody else stepped in. At our workplace, the moment we realize there is an issue, even before somebody is coming and telling us, you realize that there is an issue, tackle it immediately. Before it blows up and turns out to be a bigger problem, you will find the solution is also easy to find. Let me just ask you, have you ever seen a bamboo shoot? Try to observe it next time, specifically when the wind is blowing. When there is a wind, heavy wind specifically, the bamboo shoot bends down. As long as the wind is there, it tends to bend. Why? It tries to prevent itself from breaking. The moment the wind stops, it comes back to its normal position. Most of the times in our lives, we come across saying the leaders have to be very strong. You cannot break. You cannot bend. No, it's okay to bend. When there is a problem, we can go back, approach our team, discuss that problem, take their opinion, take their ideas. Nothing wrong in that. That doesn't mean that you are not strong or you are weak. You are only trying to approach the problem in a different manner. You are involving everybody. You are participating your team or you are participating your colleagues. Maybe you are discussing with somebody else, maybe your mentor or your boss, whoever it is. Try to talk. Solution comes faster when compared to taking it onto your own and thinking about it for days or spending hours together, and then there may or may not be a solution at the end of the day. It stresses your mind, it puts you under undue pressure, and there are many other after effects. Let me share one other example here. We all know Nokia and Samsung in the mobile phones, right? Nokia used to have highest sales in India or Asia at one point in time, maybe around 2 decades ago. Samsung was just upcoming, not much in the Indian market. Then There was a set of software team who came up with Android software. Android was utilized by Samsung and we saw their sales increasing and Nokia sales on the declining trend. On the background, in fact, that Android software was offered to Nokia initially, but Nokia was resistant. They didn't want to change their technology. They were okay, happy with their technology. They didn't want to test anything new and they rejected the offer. On the other end, Samsung accepted they checked, they tested it, they found to be useful, user friendly, and they implemented it. And the result we all know. This applies even in our daily routine. With the fast changing technology, as leaders, we should be in the forefront to learn any new technology, any new technique that is coming up. This will, the moment we say no, either to the technology or a change, then you will see that you don't have the place in the current system. Because learning is a vicious cycle. We have to learn new things, unlearn or remove some of the old ways, and learn or modify those. But learning is going to be a lifelong event, I should say. The moment you say, no, I'm done. If I say I don't want any new, I don't want to learn anything new, I'm okay with whatever I am. Then in the current trend, in the current scenario, in the current world, then I should say that is the time for a retirement. We will not have any place in the current world. Okay. As part of this learning, today we are all here attending a conference, listening to Sam, listening to me, right? This is also a kind of networking, trying to learn something new. Same way you have networking within your organizations. You deal with different departments. You tend to deal with your customers, your vendors. We learn a lot with that networking. Sometimes we don't learn through our own internal atmosphere, but external definitely teaches us something new. New ideas keep cropping up. Let me again share one of my experiences. This was again related to the same relocation experience. After I relocated and started working with the team, I said we saw changes, and yes, definitely initially it was all effort from all of our end. After a couple of months, I received a feedback from our HR, and the feedback was that I've been harsh during the discussions. This feedback never came to me until that point in time. Until that point, maybe I had almost like 14 years, overall 14 years experience. I never heard people commenting or remarking, giving me that remark. It was very new and awkward too initially. Initially, I was little resistant to take that feedback because nobody in my personal circle or the professional circle never ever commented. So, but that feedback was provided to me more than once. Then I had to sit back and then start thinking what exactly could have happened. I even went and spoke to my superior. He supported me. He just told me, Samta, think, sit back and recollect the discussions that you have had over the last couple of days or weeks. You will get an idea. Maybe something happened during that point. So I started doing that. I couldn't get much, but I thought, okay, fine, let me try to be a little cautious when I'm having further discussions. when I'm interacting with the team. Then suddenly click me. It's only a couple of months, maybe few 2 3 months that I relocated. The team is new to me. I'm new to the team, that more importantly. They don't know who I am. How do I work? They're seeing me working, but they don't understand me completely. They don't know me they don't know who Samata is. Similarly, I didn't know everybody 100%. So there is a gap. I need to first bridge that gap. So I started changing the way I interacted with them. Rather than me talking more, I gave them the scope to open up. After that, I saw that the feedback reduced. Definitely, it took me around 6 months' time to work on this. After the feedback, it was almost like 3 months. When other feedback was provided, it was kind of changed feedback. Had I not taken that feedback at that point, maybe I wouldn't have been in this position right now. Most of the times we tend to hesitate or tend to restrict ourselves to the negative feedback. But believe me, all those who are providing that negative feedback are our friends because they are helping us to improve. They are helping us to realize our areas of weakness. Unlike those who just say goody goody about you. We all experience this. But the way we consider the feedback and act on it is very, very important. The same way, when we are trying to provide feedback to others, we need to be careful. Both matters. Okay. We see an yellow color in this slide, right? Here, we see an yellow color here. Does this remind you of anything in the two-wheelers? Not recently. It's quite remote, I should say. Again, if we go back to 15, 20 years maybe. In the two-wheeler industry, we used to find very few colors. Maybe black, white, metallic, light blue. 4 or 5 colors at the most, or 6. There was one company which came up with an yellow colored scooter. Do you remember? Yes, it was Vespa. Vespa came up with the yellow color scooter. And then we saw that as a trend in the automobiles. There, the company took a risk because they wanted to set a trend that helps increase them. They increase their production, improve their business. Definitely, they work out a lot. It doesn't come just like that. Setting a trend is not so easy. It may be utter failure sometimes. But once it is like sets a trend, it is there in the market for quite some period of time and you'll be remembered with that particular trend. Same way for a manager or a leader. In your daily work, you keep implementing different styles. Sometimes you're very friendly with your team. You provide them complete freedom to work. Sometimes you make a decision and you give them the freedom to act on that. The result, how they work, you leave it to them. What is required to do is what you inform them. Sometimes, when suppose the project is coming to an end, you hardly have 10 days to complete the project, and you see that quite much work is left behind. At that point, do you tell the team, okay, you are at your free will to work, or do you just pass on the instructions and say, do this, do this? Whatever I'm saying, you just do this. Questions later. You try to use your power there, your authority there. We don't realize that we are using so many leadership styles as and when we are working. But we do employ all of this. We try to bond with our team. So these are various leadership styles that we have: trend setting, coercive, coaching and mentoring, authoritative, democratic, laissez-faire, and affiliative. When it comes to coaching and mentoring, again, let me share one of the experiences that came across in my team. We have a training department. We actually induct freshers, the fresh graduates, train them, and then onboard them onto the production floor. So there was one candidate in training. He was taken on a conditional basis. He was very much in need of an employment. So he was inducted under the condition that if he doesn't clear, if he doesn't show some improvement by the end of the training, he will be out of the system. So he joined. He put all his efforts to complete the training, but he was almost the bottommost performer in the training. Then he was posted onto the production floor. The manager and his team had to take care of him. 15 days on the production floor, even the team leads were under the same impression. He's not going to improve. Maybe we have to take a call on him. He had to be put under PI. At that point, the manager, he was supposed to work in the night shift. So he was placed in night shift for 2 months. So he said, I'll take this person along with me in the night shift and try to train him. He posted the person, also the junior, in the night shift, and he started training him on a daily basis, providing him guidance, tips on how to work, where he's going wrong, and all of that. And we were able to see a vast change in 1 month to 1.5 months' time. The person who was the bottommost performer, his quality improved, his productivity improved. That was all the efforts of the manager who took pains to train that person. Personal coaching was provided to the junior person. Within 6 months from there, we saw that person performing to the extent that he was exceeding his targets. This is the effect of coaching and mentoring. Before I sign off, I just wanted to again say a little bit impress upon integrity. Any organization looks up to its employees, all the employees, not just the management team, all the employees, and mostly the management team, to be honest, to be fair, to be dependable, and unbiased. Because as long as we are not attached to the company, we are not maintaining that integrity and confidentiality, the basic purpose is lost. Let me put that into a very simple sentence as mentioned by Mr. Narayan Murthy. The softest pillow is a clear conscience. With that, I leave it to you all. Thank you for attending this session.
Thank you, Samatha. It was a wonderful session and amazing thoughts and examples you have set forward for all of us. It was amazing to listen to you. And we have a couple of questions as well. So I'll read those out for you. And we have, I think, enough time, some 15-20 minutes in hand, so we can answer
Yeah.
those accordingly. So Samta, the first question is by Prashant, who's asking, how do you see the opportunities opening up in the tier two cities due to this remote working and pandemic situation?
Yes. With the remote working and the current pandemic situation, the opportunities may be less, but as long as you are worth it and as long as people see that you are exceeding the way in your current designation or in your current role more, I should say, there is no dearth for the opportunities. Definitely, when compared to the metros or the three-tier city, the one-tier cities, there are the opportunities are little lesser. But with the work from home option, you can reach out to the other companies which are not available in your cities, in your current town or the city. And like I was mentioning, networking, one of the important areas. How you are letting others know what you are actually doing, because that is more important. The moment somebody sees you, sees your work, they appreciate your work, definitely opportunities come to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
surely, Samata. And one question by Atul is, what was changed feedback?
Yeah, change to feedback. Yes. I was mentioning, the initial feedback that came to me, I was mentioning, have been harsh in the discussions. After I started being little cautious and started providing that opportunity for the team to open up, understand them, and put my views then, they saw me, not just the interactions, the way I worked, the kind of knowledge that I carried. When they came to me with the problem, they saw that I have a solution for most of their problems. Some immediately, some may not immediately, but later. Then their thought process changed. It is the same person. It is the same Samata there. It is the same team on the opposite end. But they saw me working all in all those areas, and then they realized maybe sometimes when I'm trying to stress on some point, it is not a person who is doing that, but the role. So the feedback was, yes, she knows what she's doing, she's effective, she's teaching, and more importantly, she's aware of everything that is happening. Yeah,
Yeah, I guess the most important thing is to be aware of what is happening. So rightly said, Samata. Moving on to our next question by Rohit. He's asking, as a leader, what is your suggestion for people who like to transit towards upcoming technologies without much affecting their present?
technology, yes, with the vast changing technology, it is
Hmm.
important for us to grab, to learn the new technology which is relevant to our fields, because technology is growing in all the fields. Whichever is relevant to our fields, it is very important for us. Sometimes it may be with little modifications to our existing technology that we will be able to add up the new things. It's not always that there is a vast change. Those little modifications, if we are able to understand completely, definitely there will not be any issue in implementing or adapting to the new techniques or the methods.
Yeah, so lots of
So that
questions are
understanding
there.
completely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are lots of questions. I'm just picking up the next one,
Okay.
which is about interaction with team. Again, by Atul, is asking how you realize that you need to change the way of interaction with your team.
Okay. One was, like I mentioned, I spoke to my superior who was working with me for more than a decade. Okay. So I tried to obtain feedback from him, which he couldn't realize much, but maybe he provided few guidance and tips, like maybe you need to observe the way, the wash the way. And then I started discussing with my own team. Okay. And even I went to the extent of obtaining feedback from my team, telling them openly if there is anything wrong or if I'm not able to convey you properly, appropriately, if my message is not clear, or if you feel that I'm too much into the work, not considering you, your thoughts and feelings, please let me know. So the opposite person, they understand it's not the boss and the employee relationship. It's like a colleague relationship or one among the team. So the moment that message went to them, they were open in discussing with me. So I know when if I'm going out of the way, I realized because they were there to tell me at that point. So that helped me to introspect myself too. And later, after the discussions, try to recollect, okay, did it go well? Not. And let me be also very frank here. We shouldn't be too much cautious also, because that will be a hindrance for you to even put forth your views. You wouldn't be able to communicate freely. So you need to take a balanced stance there.
Right. So, as you said, your team was comfortable enough to tell you that it is not going in the right way. But there may be situations where the team members are not that comfortable of sharing what they feel. What do you think what to be done in those situations? How to make them comfortable? Because I'm sure until they're comfortable, they'll
Yeah,
not be able to share.
definitely. When will you become comfortable with your team or your superior? What do you expect from your superior?
I would say listening to your point of views and what you're going through as well. What are your
Yes,
challenges? Yeah.
yeah, definitely. One of the points I've been mentioned in the session was on active listening. Whenever anybody is approaching you, listen to them. Most of the times we tend to get engrossed with the laptops or the desktops. We just tend to look at the system rather than at the person, right? When somebody is approaching you to discuss, give importance to them. Keep your work aside, have a very eye to eye contact, direct eye to eye contact, listen to them, provide them the feelers that you are actually listening to them. And I followed the same thing. Whenever somebody comes to me, I give them that a chance to first open up and talk to me. Sometimes maybe we need to probe. I need to probe them because they want to discuss, but they are hesitant. They don't know how to put it forth. They don't even come to me for a discussion, but the way they behave, yes, it definitely lets me know, okay, there is something wrong with that person. I need to talk. So when they see that happening and this continuous interactions improving, they'll definitely come up to you and open to you. But the moment you stop them, they start discussing and cut the discussion in half and try to put your points and try to tell them, no, you are wrong or you are right. They wouldn't be that open with you.
Right, right. Thank you, Samita. We have 12 more minutes in hand, so we can take like two, three, four questions maybe. The next question is by Prashant. He's asking, in your views, what is the most popular style of leadership demonstrated by Indian managers or leaders? He has another question, but let's answer this first.
Okay. Most popular style of leadership, if you ask me, there is no one particular style that is employed by any particular person or a leader. It is a combination of the styles that we employ. Like I was mentioning, let me give one example of this pandemic situation. We all know how the businesses got affected last year, right? Almost all the organizations went for pay cuts, or even many of them lost their jobs, right? So even our company went through the same. We are no exception. So at the beginning, in the last April, there were two options in front of us. Either remove some percentage of people and provide salaries to the remaining, or do pay cuts for everybody across the board, with management taking up higher cuts, salary cuts. So these two options were available. It was easy for the management to decide on one of the options and send out a mail across. But we didn't employ that. Our CEO addressed everybody. We have actually three units: Hyderabad, Mysore, and Chennai. He addressed every person, every group, and we put forth those options in front of the team, all the employees. All the employees chose not to remove anybody. They all were okay with taking the salary deductions. It was told to them, we will be able to tell about only this particular month. Next month, we don't know. If the business improves, fine. If it doesn't improve, there may be again salary deductions. So we'll come back to you again next month, beginning of the next month. So here, what was the style employed? We involve the employees in taking a decision, right? So sometimes this participatory, the democratic leadership style comes into picture. Depending on the project that we are working or the decision, we need to change our leadership styles.
Yeah, Savita. There is another follow-up question to the one he has asked. He is asking, do you see a change in their style? He's referring to the managers and leaders. See the change in their styles when they are based in India and when they are based in abroad.
I should say definitely it's not India and abroad, it is the kind of team that you are working with. The mentalities that each of your team members is carrying. So because there is what the thought there is a difference in the thought process of Indians and the thought process people who are living abroad. So definitely when we are trying to work with different groups, we change our styles. If your team in India has a mixture of groups from abroad, all the countries, then definitely you would employ the same styles here. So it's the team that you're working with, the group that you're working with decides. And also the work that you're dealing with, too. Both of them play a role here.
All right. So moving on to next question by RC Goyal. He's asking, how about giving message of self introspection also to the team members?
Definitely. We cannot expect much of this at the ground level because we do understand they are just onto the production floor, the shop floor, they're just involved with their work. They come, what is their per work, they deal with their work and leave. But definitely, whoever is there in the management, be it the lower level of management or the senior management, introspecting ourselves on a regular basis is very, very much essential because even because somebody is coming up with a feedback, we realize our errors. We realize where we have gone wrong. We will be correcting ourselves. And most of the times, I think we do it even in our daily routine. We see that, even I see that within my team. Sometimes I may be a little rude with the team because that would be required at that point in time. It's not exactly rude, but being very stern. But after maybe a couple of hours or next day, I call that team member and say, I'm sorry if I have been rude at that point, but this was the requirement, and that is the reason I had to be stern with you. I've seen my managers also implementing that. They may pass on some instructions and tell them, no, you need to do this. Later, once that work is done, they go back to the team, they call the team members and tell them, see, this is where, this is was the purpose, why I had to behave with you. The work is done. Now you tell me what needs to be done. They discuss it at a later point. So definitely that is going to help at every individual level.
Right. And that's a good tip. We have another question by Dr. Baig, who's also asking for tips on balancing carrot and stick approach, please.
Carrot and stick, yes. Like we were talking about the leadership styles where we have authoritative styles and the democratic where we give them freedom, participation, right? Even the rewards, it's not just always the rewards that are motivating, but sometimes being stern, being informing, like I said, the clear cut communication, the clear message that we are passing on to the team, what is required, what are the timelines for the project, that also is mandatory. It's not somebody is not efficient in your team. You cannot just say you do this, you will get this reward. What will happen if you are not performing also should be told to the person. Sometimes if they are under any, if it continues, consistent non-performance, what would you do? They may be, the ultimate thing is out of the system, right? So that is also very, very much important to convey to the team, but in a right balance. Where it is required to inform about the rewards, The same lines, we also need to inform them what happens when they are not performing. So this carrot and stick, we have to balance it in the right proportion at the right place.
Right. So we have another question. We have 5 minutes, and we'll try to take 2 or 3 questions in that time. So there's another question by Atul Samata is asking coercive or trendsetter approach might not always work on team because team is dependent upon the leader. So what
Yes.
should we do in this situation?
See, the leadership styles that we discussed, okay, it's not that one leadership style is going to be effective all the times. Depending on the situation that we are dealing with, like trendsetter, when we talk about if you want to grow, you want to be number one, or you want to be recognized, then you take that risk. It's not always. Otherwise, you don't see the trendsetters very often. So, also the other leadership styles, depending on the situation, we try to change our leadership style.
Since we are talking about leadership styles, there's another question about if you can give an example of varied leadership approaches when team is distributed in India and abroad. Is there any specific approach that can work? And if you have an example of it.
Where team here, okay, I have not dealt with the teams here and abroad till now, to be fair enough. But when we deal with our customers, our clients, we see a change the way we have worked with the clients in India and the clients abroad. We saw a change the way they deal with the work. When we deal with the Indian clients, we see that they are more into whenever the discussions happen, it's only on the work, about the work. Okay, this was done, this was not done, good, bad, that's it. But when we talk to our customers abroad, the clients who are based out of India, most of the times, even if you're not performing well, first they try to highlight what you're performing. First they try to take that friendly approach, and then they talk about the non-performance or where are the areas of improvement at a later point. And it's not so stern, or I should say the autocratic style or authoritative style there. They try to put it in a very different up manner when compared. Definitely that difference we have seen. And even the way we talk, that also is very different when we compare with our Indian partners to our partners in US.
All right. So apart from the time zone, there are a couple more differences.
Definitely.
Okay, so moving on to the last question that we can take, we have 2 minutes. This is by Anuradha. She's asking, does leadership means only front end, or can the leader be behind and encourage? That's a nice question, I would say.
Yes. A leader, like I said, leader is not somebody who always showcases. He is a part of the group. It doesn't mean you are leading the group, but it doesn't mean you are seen by everybody. Your action speaks. You don't need to be always in the front. The leader will also be at the back end leading the team. The team is put forth. Supposing you, when we are having discussions with our team members, okay, we are discussing on a problem, someone is throwing up an idea. We appreciate that idea. Most of the times, what we do is we tend to take that idea as us. Rather, if you put take it up as your team member's idea, okay, and implement it, indirectly it is you who will also be credited because you have developed that team. So it's not always mandatory that you be at the front. You can lead the team from behind them also. By showing them the way, you can be at side, they will be following your way. And only involve when there is a requirement. Have your monitoring checks, monitor them, but not always being there and controlling them.
Amazing, amazing, Samata. And with that, we are bang on time. Thank you very much. It was
Thank you.
wonderful listening to you, and it was a great discussion with the questions and some amazing questions by the participants as well. So, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Samata, once again from us and from all the participants as well. It was wonderful to have you.
Thank you, Nupur. I thank you, everyone, and wish you all a very happy weekend ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.